there, I'm Sierra Bailey with Doers Shakers Makers, and I'm back with this week's Tuesday tip. So here's a question that a lot of talented tiny business owners end up asking themselves. To niche or not to niche? Niche, niche, niche. I'm going to go with niche for this one. The biggest question is, do you need one? Well, I think that all of us could deal with a little bit of focus, which we'll get to in a second. But the truth of it is, when you are first starting your business, you don't want to necessarily pigeonhole yourself without a little bit of what is kind of market research. So if you declare your niche too early, you may end up not necessarily developing that niche where you want to or where your potential customers and clients want to. So I would say the immediate answer is maybe. And really, it's more of how about, and this week's podcast, which is all about finding your focus, we'll go into this in more depth if you want to listen to a little bit more. But a niche is, by definition, solving a very specific problem for a very specific group of people. So how about before we get into the specifics, we do start out with a little bit of broadness. So let's say that you have developed a new service or a product or something like that, and you are trying to figure out how to market to people. Now, if this is a brand new thing, there's a lot of testing going on. But if you already have clients and customers, if you haven't developed your avatar yet, your person who you are marketing to, look at it and see who the people are that keep coming back. Who are these people that love your stuff? Not your family, but actual customers that are not related to you who are just loving whatever you're putting out there. So start to look at them and then start to look at, am I actually solving the specific problem that I think I'm solving for them? Or maybe am I kind of solving other problems? I will bring two examples from my own life into this. One is a jewelry designer. I kept niching down too much. So I was getting so specifically niched that I was almost ostracizing people because I was focused on such a hyper specific. It was too much for me to be selling to department stores and things like that. So sometimes if you niche from the beginning, you're really cutting off a lot of the people because you don't really know the exact specific thing that you're solving. And for me, that was 10 years in. That wasn't even at the beginning. The other thing is that when I started doing what I started now, it took me a while to realize both the problems that I was solving and really who I was solving them for. The thing that people fear the most when you talk about niching down is they're like, no, I can't do that because I sell to everybody. Well, nobody sells to anybody. To everybody. That's just marketing 101. So stop thinking that. And you're better if you don't think that. So what then happens is that somebody understands this concept and then they're like, okay, I need to get hyper specific. But don't rush to get specific until, like I said, you've done a little bit of the market in the field research, meaning you've had some customers and some clients and received feedback. So niche versus focus. So focus is more of the kind of general, broader term. You're not solving a specific problem, but you're focused on an area, let's say, or on a type of person or a type of business or something like that. So first, you could start out with me as the jewelry example. You could focus more on, let's say you want to make brightly colored costume jewelry. So that already is getting a focus. So you went from jewelry down to brightly colored costume jewelry. So you're really starting to get down, but you're not getting super specific problem solving yet. To take that into a niche would be for women who are professional and want to wear fun jewelry to work. So that's getting more into the niche. To see how we kind of went with that progression. So on a service level, if we look at, I'm using myself as an example because it's just easier than thinking of things on the fly. If we look at the service level, you could say, I help small businesses in a consultant manner. And that could be that's really your focus. Small businesses, consulting would be kind of the what. Your focus is small businesses. My niche is now, I am a business educator for talented tiny business owners. So you see how the progression goes down and gets smaller and smaller, but it's never getting so small that there aren't enough people to make it so that I have the size of audience that can come to me and with what my products are offered as still have my making an income that is possible. So there's a lot of factors that get into why you shouldn't niche too soon because you could almost cut your legs out from under you. Now, another thing that I want you to remember that I kind of talked about is those clients, those customers that are coming back to you, what are they saying? What are they asking for? Kind of. But more so, when they're recommending you to people or they're reviewing you, what are they talking about? Because that is starting to make you understand how you can go from your focus to your niche. So, like I said, focus, fantastic. Niche, yes, but not always right away because you are not always aware of what your niche should be. Sometimes it takes a little while for you to be out there and creating things and understanding what people want from you. So to niche or not to niche, maybe you'll never get to the point where you need to niche down. Maybe once you start showing up consistently, once you start practicing deliberately, and once you really are working on mastering your craft, maybe just by having some focus on what you're doing, you're drawing in a wonderful audience of people, the clients, the customers, the relationships that you want. They're understanding what you're communicating and you are developing a business. If you find that once you've developed your focus, that one of two things happens. So one, that your customers and clients are just talking about like one problem that you are solving over and over and over again. There's your niche right there. Or if you find that you have so much work that you are starting to have to turn people away, or not enough work because people are a little bit confused by what you do and it never feels like they're being spoken to. Sometimes that's a good indication that you need to niche down a little bit in your focus, that you're talking to too many people at once. So then you need to choose that one person that you're talking to. So maybe solving that one problem will be helpful. But if you are in a place where everything is rolling along great, you have a focus, you feel like you don't have a niche, that's okay. When you start to feel like, oh, I need to change something, something's not right, that's when you can start to think, maybe I should focus in on a niche, or I have so much business that I can't at all handle this. Let me niche down so that I can work on just the things that I really want to work on and I can turn away the rest. As I said, this week's podcast on the Doers Shakers Makers podcast is all about how to find your focus. So give that a listen if you want to know more about this topic. I will, of course, be back here next week because I love giving you Tuesday tips. Have a fantastic week and thank you for listening. I'm Sierra Bailey with Doers Shakers Makers.